Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. I present the report of the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Intelligence and Security on the review and the listing of Jabhat al-Nusra and the relisting of 6 terrorist organisations and review of the listing of al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. You want me to move that, Mr Deputy President? Yep, I move that the Senate take note of the report.
Thank you, Senator Fawcett.
On behalf of the committee, I present the report, and the regulations for this were tabled on the 12th of November and the 2nd of December in 2013. And I'd like to take this opportunity, Mr Acting Deputy President, just to outline the committee's findings in relation to each organisation. As mentioned, this is the first listing of Jabhat al-Nusra. Jabhat al-Nusra plans and conducts attacks in Syria against individuals and groups who they perceive to be supporting the regime of President Bashar al-Assad. Its attacks include security and military targets using improvised explosive devices, sniper and small arms attacks, as well as kidnapping and torture. Jabhat al-Nusra targets urban areas, resulting in indiscriminate civilian attacks, and the group has been responsible for numerous attacks since it announced its existence via a video statement on the 6th of January 2012. And we have seen numerous examples of where particularly minority groups in Syria have been victim of these indiscriminate and in some cases quite targeted attacks. Of particular concern to the committee were reports that Jabhat al-Nusra's recruitment of Australians to fight in Syria, as well as the suggestion that it is deliberately recruiting and training foreigners to go back and to conduct terrorist attacks in their own countries. The committee therefore supports the listing of Jabhat al-Nusra as a terrorist organisation and does not recommend disallowance of the regulation. With regard to the organisations being relisted, this is the 5th relisting of al-Qaeda, Jamaat Islamiyah, al-Qaeda in the lands of the Islamic Maghreb, Jamaat al-Ansar and the Abu Sayyaf group, and the first relisting of al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. In each case, the committee was satisfied that the groups continue to engage in terrorist activities which could be a threat to Australians or to Australian interests either here or overseas. The committee therefore supports their ongoing listing as a terrorist organisation and does not recommend disallowance of the regulation for each of these groups. I'd also particularly like to mention the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. This group has been listed since 2005 under different names, including most recently al-Qaeda in Iraq. In December of 2013, the government took the decision to relist the organisation under the name Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. The committee was informed that this was to reflect the expansion of the group's activities into Syria, with the change of name not reflecting a change in leadership, membership or methods of operation. Described to the committee as one of the world's deadliest and most active terrorist organisations, the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant conducts daily and often indiscriminate attacks. It targets crowds and public gatherings to maximise casualties and gain publicity. Again, of concern to the committee were reports that the group actively recruits Australians that have travelled to Syria to fight. Mr Acting Deputy President, the committee notes that the regulation reflecting the change of the name to the Islamic State of Iraq and Levant is to be tabled this Thursday. The committee supports the relisting of this organisation and does not recommend disallowance of the regulation. As I said, the committee is concerned about the involvement of Australians with these groups, and members of the Senate would be aware of media reports just this week of further Australians who have lost their lives in Syria, as well as the number of passports that have been cancelled as our security agencies take steps to prevent people from, and I emphasise, breaking the laws of this country to travel to fight in conflicts such as Syria. Even for those who travel there for humanitarian purposes, which is the stated intention of some, the committee does note the concern expressed by the government that due to the ongoing conflict, the kidnappings and terrorist attacks, their presence in Syria exposes them to extreme danger of injury or loss of life. But we are particularly concerned about those who travel with the stated intention, as glorified on some websites and blogs here in Australia, for the purposes of becoming a martyr or to train and return to Australia. That is illegal, and for people who are tempted to that, I refer back to the Australian Citizenship Pledge that says, from this time forward, that I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Mr Acting Deputy President, I commend the report to the Senate.